Pryde's Picks is spoiler heavy and full of crude language. I swear like a sailor, and Lockheed's no better. Consider yourself warned. Hey everyone, it's April 23rd, and I'm here with this week's Pryde's Picks. This week we have a Button from the Big Boys along with a book from Dark Horse and Image Comics. So let's just get started. First up is Original Sin issue 0 of 8. Now, this is called Who is the Watcher? And it's narrated by Nova, and he's flying through the world doing good deeds. And at one point he saves these people, and he's looking up, and everybody's like, what are you looking for? And it turns out every time he does something he thinks is sort of cool, he's kind of hoping the Watcher is watching him. So then he's asking questions about the guy, and nobody knows anything. So he decides to fly up to the moon and just, knock on his door and be like, hey buddy, can I come in for a cup of coffee? So he brings him this little gift, and it's like a chunk of the ground where the Phoenix Force was defeated. And he's like, I don't know if you collect things of the stuff you watch, but I thought this was cool. And he gives it to him in this little glass case, and the Watcher kind of flies off with it. And he's like, I guess I can come in. So then he starts asking him a bunch of questions, and of course the Watcher answers nothing. And then his little spidey senses of sort are going nuts inside the suit. And the helmet's like, you need to get out of here, you need to get out of here. And it turns out he's basically feeling the forces of all these parallel worlds together. And it turns out that's how the Watcher watches everything. He just kind of stands there and takes it all in. And Nova can't even keep up, and he's freaking out. Just the backstory on the Watcher was really interesting, and the way Nova kind of idolizes this guy, and at the same time, towards the end, almost feels sorry for him. I liked everything about this book, and I really didn't think I'd care about this little bald-headed wannabe Xavier motherfucker, but I did. So I'm going to give it a buy it now. The rest of Original Sin could suck ass, but learning about my little friend the Watcher was awesome. Moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy issue 14. Now this picks up after the trial of Jean Grey. The Guardians have gone their own way, and Star-Lord's still fantasizing about Kitty Pryde, but in a isn't she normal kind of sense, which is kind of sad because she's a fucking mutant, but he's after aliens and girls that don't love him and want to kill him. Their ship comes under attack. Meanwhile, you have Gamora off on her own and she's under attack. You've got Drax off on his own and he's under attack. And everybody's getting their ship pushed in, which kind of happened about 2 or 3 issues ago, so I was like, I don't really care. But then Star-Lord's dad catches him, and then Star-Lord and him have this heart-to-heart that turns out to be this bitch fest. And I got behind that because it's nice to see dysfunction even in outer space. The best part of the book actually was halfway through when it ended, and we got to see a little bit of the group backstory of where he came from and how him and Rocket and everybody became friends and just, I don't know, the group book's going to be adorable, and the Rocket Raccoon book's going to be amazing, and ever since the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, I am really excited about all of this. So I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy read it on the shelf and buy Original Sin issue number 0. Moving on to Elektra issue 1. Now, this book I really didn't care to pick up. I hated the movie and thought, why the fuck do I care about Elektra? The art inside is this beautiful watercoloring that I haven't seen in many books as of late, so I can appreciate that. You hear her whining in her head about how, she doesn't belong anywhere, she's just an assassin for hire, her life kind of sucks, and I was kind of hating it. But then she goes and gets this job searching for Cape Crow, who is this well-known assassin that apparently started taking out other assassins and kind of stealing their gigs. So they gave him an early retirement party, and then they all tried to kill him. He fucked everybody up and went missing. Well, now he's back on the grid, and Elektra has been hired to find him. And despite the fact that it looks unique and different, and there are no lines because it's all watercolor, I actually didn't hate it. I thought I would. This book is almost buy it now. I'm gonna say, I can't even say wait for the trade because I don't know where it's going. What's between buy it now and wait for the trade? Because that's what I want. There's got to be an in between. Steal it now? Moving on to DC Comics, we have Justice League issue 0. Now, nobody in this team is particularly Canadian. It's just the fact that what's going on is up in Canada, and they're trying to appease the Canadian masses for some reason in DC Comics. You have Martian Manhunter in this group. you have Animal Man teamed up with Stargirl. And they're like doing some sort of book signing. And this guy shows up and he's like, hey, I have this weird thing that happened to me and I need to tell you about it. And they're like, okay, crazy guy, move it along. Then he shows them like this weird skull and they're like, okay, that's weird. And then Stargirl's like staff starts glowing and she's like, okay, sir, maybe you're not crazy. They follow him out into the woods. This weird portal opens up. They end up interacting with these weird alien species. Then their shit gets pushed in. The rest of the Justice League wannabes show up. And they kind of stop what's going on. Not really. I wasn't too into this book. I'm going to say, oh, you know what? Piss on it. Let's move on to Batman's weekly book, Batman Eternal Issue 3. Now, Gordon is in jail, and Bats is still trying to clear his name. But meanwhile, Batman's figuring out what's going on a little bit. The Penguin has the city on lock. Except Falcone showed back up, and he is about to take the Penguin out. And Batman kind of gives him a heads up for some reason. He's like, you know, your boy's back, and you should know what's about to go on. Meanwhile, there are these lesser-known villains kind of teaming up and having secret meetings. And I feel like they're about to either overthrow Penguin. Something's about to happen. Basically, all the villains are getting antsy. And with Falcone having a new commissioner on his team, the new commissioner's like, we're not going to stop crime in Gotham. Let's see where this goes. I'm on the payroll. So the city's about to go to shit even more than it already is, and I can't wait to see it happen. Batman Eternal Issue 3, buy it now. Moving on to Secret Origins Issue 1. This book is about Superman, Robin, and Supergirl. Now, the secret origins include Superman's mom kissing him goodbye and wishing he has a good new mom wherever he lands, and he does, and he grows up to be a wonderful human being. Big secret. Moving on to Robin, he watches his parents die in front of him, feels bad about himself, gets trained by Batman, and can't figure out where he wants to celebrate his parents' death anniversary, so Alfred suggests going to an amusement park. Check. Thanks, Alfred. Big secret. Finally, you have Kara. She is a rebel teen living in a age of awesome superness on Krypton. And then the world's about to implode, so she gets shuttled off to Earth. She wakes up and she's a rebel teen again. You know, saving people in war zones she shouldn't be flying in. Supes gives her a stern talking to. The fucking end. There are no secrets in any of these origins. Maybe there's like one tiny, minute little thing that you didn't know, but it is nothing worth spending $4.99 on, so fuck you, DC Comics. I plan on blending this up with my smoothie, eating it and shitting it out and mailing it back to you. Let's jump out of DC Comics and move on to Dark Horse with Buffy Season 10 Issue 2. Now, as we all know, a secret new friend showed up this past issue, and it was Giles in a younger form. He's about 12 or so. And unbearably adorable. He still has all his Giles memories, even though he feels like he's still just a kid. And Buffy and Faith and everyone are fighting these new vampires. And they have all these powers that they didn't have before. They can transform. They can stay out in the sunlight. And basically, there's a little bit of like a Dracula essence to them. And Buffy's like, okay, this is fucking weird. Something's going on. And Willow figures it out that when they started magic back up, it seems like somebody is rewriting the rules, and right now it's in the vampire's favor. So Willow can't get a grasp on her new magic, and the vampires are about to run rampant. Buffy says, oh, you know, these are kind of Dracula-esque powers. Maybe we should send somebody to talk to good old Dracula. And she nominates his favorite butt monkey, Xander. So Xander takes Dawn, and they go on a little vacation to go visit his former master. The book felt very much like the series, and I can't help but love it. That being said, I kind of like the idea of new magic and new rules, and you don't quite know what's going on because there's a freedom to this series that they didn't have before, and whereas the book started to get a bit boring because you know the rules have been broken. So I'm going to give Buffy buy it now and await for the trade because I'm really enjoying this season. Let's wrap up this week with The Walking Dead issue 126. This is the wrap up to All Out War. You have Negan and Rick toe to toe. Rick gets the upper hand. Negan ends up on the ground. Dwight, two-faced motherfucker, takes over where Negan left off and says, hey guys, he's got this bat over everybody. You're gonna follow me now. Why the fuck this little bitch has people following him when he's been fucking Negan's little pussy for the last I don't know how long, letting him stick it to his freaking girlfriend. I don't know. But suddenly you're supposed to say, hey, this guy looks strong. He picked up Lucille. I'm going to follow him. That's kind of bullshit. Meanwhile, Rick does not let anybody kill Negan. And despite getting his leg broken in like freaking a half, he is relatively unscathed from this fight. He's got a little arrow, he's got a little broken leg, whatevs. And he decides to give Negan a sort of protection and says, nobody can hurt him. We're going to make him rot in prison. And that's going to be his punishment, is seeing us make the utopia that he couldn't make by doing it the right way instead of Negan's way. Negan, I don't think they should keep this guy alive. It's obviously going to come back to bite him in the ass. That being said, 126 issues in, I am ready for Rick to die. I know I told my boyfriend that, and he said that he wanted Rick to stay, and he felt like the series without Rick would be like The Walking Dead, the new class, and it just wouldn't feel the same. I get that, but at this point, I'm kind of okay with The Walking Dead wrapping it up and being over. I can't foresee any future that seems good. I mean, in the future, if they cure the zombie virus, I'm going to be like, okay, I don't get it. Or in the future, if they live with the zombies, I'm not going to get it. I don't see any future that I'm excited about right now. So just fucking kill Rick. Let everybody just fuck off to their own little world and do whatever they want. Call it a day, because I'm kind of done with the book. Everything's been done. And then it's been redone about 6 different times. And I'm stopping loving The Walking Dead. Rick needs to die. I really wanted him to die at the end of this book. Surprise, spoilers, he doesn't die. So I am a very unhappy Pryde. And I would like to shit in Kirkman's mouth this week. Kirkman, please come over. Please lay down on my floor. Open your mouth and let me shit in it. Recently, I had a few of you in the chat decide that you wanted a Q&A. And I think that's pretty ridiculous because I'm a nobody and all I do is review comics. But if you do have questions you would like me to answer, leave them in the comments below. I'm really an open book and I have zero shame. If it's completely vulgar, I might ignore it. I choose the questions I get to answer, so keep it somewhat tactful and I promise I will give you what you want. And please check out my Kickstarter that I'm doing with my boyfriend and all my friends. It's called Welcome to Tate's. You can go to welcometotates.com. It'll redirect you directly there, and you will see this web series I am falling completely in love with. I will be a part of it, and I really want it to happen. And donate $5, $10, $1, whatever you can just spend a little bit, whatever you can spare. I will love you forever. And I mean it. Good night, everybody. Mwah.